Today we are going to be broadening your horizons with a In the Hoop project for those of you who do not have embroidery software. I'm going to be making a pretend play coffee bean bag, and I'm going to be using parts of three different embroidery designs to complete this project. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name's Mary with Sewing for Madison. I love crafting, and it's my passion to teach others how fun and easy it can be. Let's get started. Okay, so here's the supplies we're going to need for our project today. I have pre-hooped a medium weight cutaway stabilizer into my 5x7 embroidery hoop. I'm using the Brother PE 770 for this project. I have two pieces of felt, one for the front of our bag, one for the back of our bag. I have a cute little coffee bean fabric that I'm going to be using on the front of the bag with an applique. And then I also have pinto beans here. Those are going to represent coffee beans on the inside of our bag, along with poly stuffing, curved scissors, and our thread and tape. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the outline of the bag. It's the only step that we are going to use on this embroidery design. Okay, the next part of our design is going to be the coffee part where the coffee beans are, the applique. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over my design for that. Okay, the first stitch on this design is going to be the placement stitch for our fabric. Okay, then I'm going to just lay my piece of fabric right over that area. And now we need to cut around the edge of the fabric. I'm using a curved 6-inch scissors, and when you cut your design out, you want to make sure that you're cutting as close to the stitches as possible. You want to keep your hoop flat on your workspace and just trim as tightly as you can. Now, this happens to be a cotton thread and it shreds. So after I get done cutting, I'm just going to use a piece of tape to get all those little fine edges up and make sure I don't have any strings that are popping out, because if you don't do that, then your finished design could have a couple stray strings on it. Okay, there we go. It's nice and clean. Now back in the machine and finish out the applique. Okay, so our applique is finished now, and it's time to put our words on there. our letters are all done. I'm just going to pop this out of the hoop real quick and trim the jump stitches in between the letters before I complete the next step. This is a font that was already on my Brother machine. I went ahead and selected the correct sizing that I wanted and used the arrow keys to place it within the design, and then I saved that coffee name right into the machine temporary storage. Okay, now our last step is going to be the other side of the bag. Okay, so since we are going to be making a pouch bag, I want to put my last piece of fabric on top of my design. You'll see why we're going to do this in just a second. Okay, so the machine portion is all finished. I'm just going to slide my machine back so I have a little bit more workspace. And you can see that the top of my design here is open. I left that there for a particular reason. I'm going to go ahead and pop this out of the hoop and just trim this bag out. I'm going to leave about a centimeter worth of space on the top of the bag. The other three sides can be cut very close to the stitches. Okay, great. Now my next part is to turn the bag inside out. You want to make sure that you get the corners all the way down. And you can see it's starting to become a pouch. So my next step is I'm going to put some pinto beans in the bottom here, and then I'm going to stuff the top with poly stuffing. So I have about this much beans in the bottom of it. It doesn't have to be very many. Again, this is just a texture feel. You can do this project with or without the beans. If you do make it with the beans, it becomes a project that you cannot wash. So you'll just have to use your judgment when you're using pretend play items. So if it didn't have beans in it, by all means you can wash it and reuse as needed. Okay, now I'm going to take my poly stuffing and stuff the rest of the top. All right, I think I got enough stuffing in there. The next part is I am going to trim these corners just at a little bit of angle so that they will fold in just a little bit better when we close the top up. For the top, I'm going to do a hand stitch with a ladder stitch. And I do want to use the same color as my embroidery thread, so I'm just going to grab that out here. I know that embroidery thread is not as strong as regular sewing thread, but I want the colors to match with what we've already done on the project. Now, I do not prefer to use pins. It's just a personal preference. So what I'm going to use to help me keep my bag together as I'm getting ready to sew it is quilting clips. These are awesome and I absolutely love them. I got them online and I'll put a link in the description for you guys. If you've not used these, give them a try. They are pretty awesome. Okay, so I want to start my ladder stitch by opening it up here in the one corner, and then making sure that knot is hidden within the inside of the bag. Okay, and here's how you do a ladder stitch. You take a little bit of the fabric from one side, go straight across, a little bit of the other side, and don't pull completely tight yet. You want it a little bit loose until the end, or about halfway. You want to make sure that your stitches are about the same distance, and when you get all done, you won't even see these. It's an invisible stitching. If you accidentally pull it too tight, just pull it back a little bit. Okay. Just going to lock in my stitch. And I'm going to pull my needle back through. That pulls your knot inside a little bit. And trim that off. And then it disappears. All right, so there we have it. Here is our completed coffee project. So we did applique on the front, we did our letters, and we have our coffee beans on the inside, which gives the little kids some texture. It will stand up on its own with that extra little weight in the back. I hope you enjoyed our project today and that you learned something new about using your embroidery machine. Feel free to create different projects on your own without having to have embroidery software. If you liked our video, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, happy crafting!